What's up guys, I'm Lizzie and we're back with another 5 things. And that is 5 things that every equestrian should know how to evaluate on their horse. And we're going to start off by going over the mouth and the face and how you can recognize issues by just little signs and be able to catch things early or be able to maybe diagnose some things just so that you can be aware and on top of things. First off, if you think your horse might be having some dental issues, there are some things that you can look out for that might be a giveaway, like their chewing habits. A horse with healthy teeth will chew side to side and they'll kind of grind their teeth together, which keeps their teeth flat. A horse that might be dealing with some sharp pointy teeth in the back or some other dental issues won't be able to chew side to side, so they will either specifically favor one side or they will kind of chew up and down, and they won't be able to chew their food properly and add the correct amount of saliva to the food to be able to swallow and digest it properly. So they'll do what we call quitting, which they chew up the food and they'll spit little chunks out. So if that's something you see your horse doing, that's very likely a dental issue. It could also have something to do with the TMJ if they have some pain in their jawbone. There are also other subtle signs that you can read on their face that'll give away if they have tension and pain in their mouth. For instance, horses have these muscles on either side. So if you look at their mane, they have like a line that comes down the center of their face. They have these 2 muscles on either side. And if there is compensation and pain in the mouth and one side is chewing more than the other side, you'll notice that one of these muscles will protrude or look more obvious than the other one. Another thing that can happen when they're compensating for pain is that their nostrils will be different sizes. One nostril will be a little bit more tight and closed and the other one will be more wide. So those are just a couple things that you might be able to notice right away just on your horse's facial expressions. Now, if you want to be able to open up your horse's mouth and be able to look inside and see if there's anything glaringly, obviously wrong in there, or maybe you just want to get a picture for your dentist or something, an easy way to get them to open up their mouth is by taking your thumbs and placing them inside your horse's cheek and just pulling up. That'll make them open up their mouth. That'll make it so the horse has to open up their mouth, and it'll allow you to be able to look inside briefly. Obviously, it helps if you have a second person helping and taking pictures or using a flashlight so you can look inside. One more thing you can evaluate from the mouth is their gum. Now, a healthy horse will have a nice pink, moist gum. And a trick you can do to observe the healthiness of the gum is by picking up the lip and pressing your thumb against the gum for a couple seconds just to blanch it. And then when you take your finger off, you want the pinkness to come back within 2 to 3 seconds at max. If the color takes longer to come back to the gum, that might indicate a problem. Also, if their gum is any other color than a nice pink, that's also an indication of a problem. So if you notice a discoloration in their gum, that can be an indication of something like dehydration or anemia or iron deficiency, even an infection or pain or shock. The risk of your horse having pale gums is higher if your horse has a bad diet, has just ingested something toxic, has a poor immune system, or again, if they are dehydrated and recently had an injury. Checking your horse's heart rate is the next one. And although it can be difficult to detect your horse's heart rate without a stethoscope, there are a couple tricks that might be able to help you. Although you could just get yourself a stethoscope because monitoring your horse's heart rate can give you a lot of information, but I'm trying to give tips to people who don't have these things on hand. And the reason heart rate matters is because it can give us a lot of information about what the horse is feeling and going through. So the horse's heart rate will go up when they're experiencing pain or stress. And obviously when they're being active and they are hot and hairy and the sun is out, their heart rate will also go up. But I'm just talking about a resting heart rate, what a normal heart rate should be for your horse. Now, the numbers vary a lot depending on the size of your horse, the age of your horse, and how fit your horse is, and so on. But starting off with the average horse's heart rate, which is 30 to 40 beats per minute. Now, the smaller the horse, the faster their heart rate will be. The bigger the horse, the slower the heart rate will be. An athletic horse will have a slower heart rate. So that's all things to keep in mind. So if you don't have a stethoscope, like I don't, here are a couple tricks that might be able to help you detect your horse's heart rate. So you're gonna go right behind their left elbow and press your hand up against their chest. And it might be able to help if you really force your hand in there and maybe even place your ear on top and just listen and try to feel for it. Now, it can be really difficult to detect the heart because obviously they have a lot of mass. So that's why a stethoscope is helpful to have. But if they have a faster, harder heart rate, it'll be easier to detect. So if your horse is having an issue and having a faster heart rate, it'll be easier to detect. So once you find the pulse, you can either use a timer or you can just count, but you will count to 15 and you'll make note of how many times the heart beats in those seconds. And then you'll multiply 15 by 4 and you'll figure out how many beats per minute, that is. Also take note that it kind of sounds like the heartbeat has 2 beats when it pumps because it's a ba-dump. So you don't want to count both of those ba-dumps as 2, it's just 1 beat. So ba-dump is 1 beat, so you want to listen for that and make note of how many times it beats in a minute. Another place that's pretty easy to find the pulse if you can't seem to find it on their chest is on their face artery under their jaw. So you can press your finger up there and you'll probably be able to feel a pulse. And again, that should be pulsing the same rate as the heart. And again, like I said, a horse that is having an abnormal, faster, harder heartbeat will be easier to detect without a stethoscope, so you'll be able to know if your horse is having a problem. But it is also nice to know what your horse's average heart rate is, so you'll know as soon as it goes up. It's also pretty fascinating knowing that the horse's heart rate goes up when they're in pain, and I've even heard saddle fitters use that as a way to know that if a saddle is causing them pain or not. They'll monitor their heart rate and they'll apply pressure to certain areas, and if their heart rate will go up, they'll know how much pain that they're in. Going on to our 4th evaluation, and that is listening to gut sounds. Now, your average healthy horse will have a lot of gut sounds. When they don't have gut sounds, that's when it's a little concerning, and usually an indication that they might be colicking. So there are 4 quadrants in the horse's gut. There's the upper left flank, lower left flank, upper right flank, lower right flank. So if you're thinking you're having an issue, you want to go around and listen to all these 4 quadrants to make sure they all sound bubbly, gurgly, and healthy. So again, if you have a stethoscope, that might be able to help you out, but the gurglies in the stomach is pretty easy to hear without it. So what you want to do is just place your hand on their back, just so that they know that you're there and you're present in this area. And you want to press your head against their stomach. And if you don't hear gurglies within 30 seconds, then that's not a great sign. You can give them longer than that, but 30 seconds is usually a long enough period to know that if you don't hear anything, that's usually an indication that there might be a blockage. I'll hold my mic up against her stomach so you can hear how gurgly it is. I don't even need to put my head up against her stomach to be able to hear all of those noises going on. Another indication that your horse might have colic is by looking at their flanks. Now, naturally on a healthy horse, they'll have a bit of an indentation at the flank. And if a horse is bloating and has a stomach ache or a colicky stomach, it'll be quite swollen and hard in this area. So that's just something you want to look for. You can see it from face on and from the back, and you'll be able to tell if it looks bloated and uncomfy right here. Now, the last thing to evaluate on my list is their respiratory and how fast they are breathing. Now, the average horse will have 10 to 24 breaths per minute. And just like with the heart rate, this can vary horse to horse depending on their size and their age and their fitness. And also keeping in mind that you want to evaluate their horse when they are resting with no other stressors going on. So again, just like with monitoring the heart rate, you're going to count to 15 and take note of how many breaths you're taking by watching their side go up and down, and then multiply that by 4. So if your horse is breathing fast at rest, that's usually an indication of a problem. It can be an indication of a fever or infection or even colic, heaves, the list goes on. So you want to pay attention to these things. So not only is it important to be able to know how to do these things when your horse is having an issue, but it's also super helpful to be able to know how to do these things for when your horse is healthy, so you can evaluate them and then you'll know what their healthy state is. What is their healthy heart rate? What is their healthy breathing rate? What is their healthy gut sounds? What does their healthy gum look like? Just so that you know that when something is off, you immediately see it. Just like you should be frequently grooming your horse all over with your hands so that you can feel all of their muscles and things, and you'll immediately know when there's an abnormality going on or some sort of dysfunction or tightness or lumps or things, so that you can immediately be on top of that case and fix things before it's too late or it already caused issues or pain or whatever. So it's not just important to know these things for sick horses, it's also important to know them for your healthy horse. But those are all of my tips for today, guys. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, give it a big like and subscribe. I post new videos every single Sunday. You can go follow me on Instagram and TikTok, and I'll see you guys next week Sunday. Bye!